I'm going to talk about why we have problems in the United States politically between Democrats and Republicans. The reason why is because the United States is the wealthiest country in the world. And whoever controls that money will become rich. Both parties want to control that money. They control it by controlling Congress, and they control it by controlling the White House, not by controlling the judiciary, such as the Supreme Court or something like that. So what happens is you've got people that want to do business with the government, and they give campaign contributions to candidates in many different ways. Those candidates, when they get elected, return that money through a spending bill by hiring the services of that business. So the campaign contribution is going to be returned in some way, ideally with a profit. And what happens is people use the government treasury to put money into their pockets, to their friends' pockets, their family members' pockets, and the list goes on. Campaign contributors' pockets. Congressmen make like $250,000 a year. Being president is like $500,000 a year. It was $400,000. I think it might be higher now. But when I was younger, it was $400,000. You make good money being a congressman. It's not a difficult job. It's very profitable, and people become rich after they serve in Congress or after they serve as the president for many reasons. Giving speeches. Bill Clinton made ungodly. I think he is, in fact, a billionaire. They have records that prove that his assets in cash were $1 billion because he did a transfer to Qatar after Trump threatened to investigate Hillary. They transferred all the money out of the country. $1 billion. You can look it up. It happened. So controlling that treasury makes people wealthy. And there's a limited number of congressmen, and some of them may have more desire to control the money than others. And there's some people that don't want to be congressmen, but they still indirectly control what's going on by being a benefactor. Like you hear about the Koch brothers. I have no idea who these people are. I don't know if they're liberal or Democrat. I don't know. I don't care. Or there's other people. Soros is another name you hear. They're closely tied and related to controlling the money. They don't care about legislation unless it's profitable for them. Spending bills, regulations, etc. They care about making money. Controlling that money is important to everybody. They will do anything to control that money. They don't care about being immoral. They don't care about ethics. They will lie about anything. They will dig up dirt on anybody. They will make fake news on anybody. They will make fake accusations against anybody. They will do whatever it takes to win the election and control that money. And the voters are all pawns. You're all told you're going to get free health care valued at $200 a month. And most of you didn't get that. A lot of you did not get that. And chances are you didn't get that. You know, some people did. Maybe 10% of people did get that, but most people didn't. George Bush bought people off with $300. You can look it up. Before his second election, he offered every American $300, and they received that money. How are you going to spend it? And Barack Obama did the same thing. It's like, you're going to get some sort of tax refund to stimulate the economy. No, it's not. It's to buy your vote. You're getting bought off for $300 or for $200 a month. In exchange, the government gets to be corrupt. And they get to spend tax money that may have come from you and from other people to profit themselves. Some businesses are in on it and some aren't. We don't know. You always hear about the loophole. Why don't they close the loophole? Because if they close the loophole, then they lose the money. That's why you have tax havens. Congress can close every tax haven, but they don't, because congressmen know what the tax havens are, and they use them. It's nothing new to them. Loopholes and tax havens. People in democracies of a wealthy country are pawns of the government, pawns of the legislature, pawns of the executive branch. And when you vote for people, you vote for a guy because he's liberal or because he's conservative, they really don't do as much as you really want them to do. They never do everything that they say they're going to do because they just can't. And the financial benefit that you get is never much at all. No one is making thousands of dollars because they voted for Barack Obama or because you voted for Donald Trump. No one's raking in the cash. The voters aren't, but the businesses are. Businesses are raking in the cash because their candidate gets elected. You're doing the voting. They're telling you who they want you to vote for. It's not about who's the best candidate. It's about who they're aligned with, who's going to redirect the money. So the Republicans are aligned with the military. The Democrats are aligned with social services like hospitals or medical care, things like that. There's others. I've known over the years who they've been aligned with, and right now I really don't care that much to remember them. But they have their alignments with certain industries, and they work it through to profit those industries. Maybe there's some altruistic people out there. They call them the freshmen or the naive people. But the ones that have been there for a long time in general, if they haven't been doing altruistic things for people, they don't care about you. You can actually go and look at the legislation that's being passed by congressmen. And 97% of it is not passed. Only like 3% gets passed. A lot of it is spending bills. A lot of it is pork barrel, which means that you need $1 to fix a bridge, and then there's $1,000 to open a candy store in somebody's district, and you can't get rid of it. The U.S. government legislation is filled with pork barrel. You've probably heard the term before. Nancy Pelosi. Okay, the Pentagon wanted 2 new airplanes, and Nancy Pelosi said you're going to get 4. And the Pentagon said we don't need 4, we want 2. And she said you're going to get 4. And she bought 4 airplanes for the Pentagon. It's corruption. They didn't want it, they didn't need it. Somebody profited from that. These deals happen all the time. Pelosi is filled with corruption. She's a corrupt person in many ways. She's corrupt because she spends money that is known to go to people that is not a legitimate expenditure. For example, there were exemptions for the Affordable Health Care Act. She received like 20% of the exemptions. There's 500 people in Congress, and she got like 20%. How come she gets all the exemptions? And they went to boutiques, they went to flower shops and restaurants, and they didn't go to people that needed exemptions. Your government is corrupt. Don't believe your government. They lie to you. They're going to continue doing this. Your government is filled with people just like you. How many people do you know that are so altruistic that they've never lied and everything they do is to the benefit of someone else? How many of your friends and family really do that all the time? You must have friends and family and people that you know, people that you work with, and you say, well, these people are scummy. These people I don't like. These people are in the government. There's nothing that the government is honest and business is evil and the government's not evil. I mean, that's just nonsense. Oh, well, if I'm a candidate and I'm going to give you free health care, then I'm not evil. That's bull. Remember Mitt Romney? He said, I want 0% capital gains tax. Mitt Romney was a capital gains investor. What do you think is going to happen? He's basically going to write a law that says he doesn't pay taxes for the rest of his life. And he has, well, you want to be voluntarily allowed. He wanted a law that you could voluntarily pay taxes. For 1 year, he's going to voluntarily pay taxes, get reelected, never voluntarily pay taxes again. No one will ever see his tax returns again, and he got 0% capital gains, and nobody in the media ever mentioned it, ever. I noticed when I heard him say that, 0% capital gains, you're a capital gains investor, there's a reason why we have capital gains tax. It's to promote investment. Your idea is stupid. And it's corrupt. It's self-serving. Barack Obama said, I'm going to put more money in your paycheck. And he lied to all the American people who bought it. It's one of the biggest lies I ever heard, and nobody said anything. We're going to, what was it, cut the payroll tax from 4% to 2%? Or, I don't remember what it was. Something about cutting the payroll tax. We're going to make your boss pay those taxes. Put more money in your paycheck. Sounds like a good deal to you. Well, guess what? You ain't getting a good deal. You're getting a worse deal. You know why? He's going to put more money in your paycheck, but guess what? You're paying more back at the end of the year because your payroll tax cut is now going to be regular income, which is taxed at a higher rate, which means at the end of the year, you're going to pay more money. I'm going to make your employer pay those taxes. And guess what? Your employer already does pay payroll taxes for you. Do you pay payroll taxes? It gets deducted from your paycheck. You don't pay the government payroll taxes. Your employer does. When Barack Obama says, I'm going to make your employer pay those taxes, they already do. Changed absolutely nothing. He made it sound like you're going to make more money, but you're not. At the end of the year, it's all going to balance out. You're going to pay regular income tax, which is going to put you into a higher tax bracket. You're going to pay more because regular income is the highest tax income, and you're not saving money. And he lied to everybody, and everybody bought it hook, line, and sinker. He bought you off. He scammed everybody. The news media didn't say anything. They've got economists on the news media all the time, and the liberal media did not have an economist that said, wait a second, there's something wrong with this. I would have been the first one to say, this is BS, Barack. And to prove it to you, I will give a negative 10% payroll tax. So you will have even more money in your paycheck. And at the end of the year, you're going to pay that all back in taxes to the government, and you'll have a net benefit of nothing. It's a scam. There's something called the Lilly Bedwetter Act. Women get paid less money than men for doing the same job. Not true. The court made some sort of a ruling. Okay, we'll talk about the Lilly Bedwetter Act first. This is a equal pay act. Equalizes gender. If you believe that, well, sorry, the fake news engine has turned has gone its course, and you've been fooled. The Lilly Bedwetter Equal Pay Act is not an Equal Pay Act, even though it has the word Equal Pay Act in the name. It does one thing. It changes the amount of time you have to file a complaint, and that's it. It doesn't make you be paid the same amount of money as anybody else. It doesn't equalize wages between genders or income between genders. It does nothing like that. It just changes the statute of limitations. It was one of the worst laws that I've ever read about in the history of reading any law. It's a stupid law. It's dumb. Anyone who had read this law not knowing, if you had read the details of the Statute of Limitations Act, you would say, this is stupid. Why would anybody pass a law? Not knowing it's equal pay related, you would say, this is dumb. What could this possibly be? This is dumb and idiotic. We have no laws that are equal to this. So what happened was there was some court ruling that said, well, if you feel that you've been discriminated against in regards to wages, you have a certain amount of time to file. A year, 6 months, 2 years, I don't know what it is. But you got to file, you got 2 times that you could possibly file. It's either from the day that you discovered it, or maybe it's the day that the pay discrepancy occurred, or something like that. And there was a dispute of, well, which day should it be? And one court said one thing, another court said another thing, another court said another thing, and they kept overruling each other to push it one way or another. And maybe, what does it really matter, right? And then the Congress said, well, we're going to pass a law, we're going to call it an Equal Pay Act. It's not an Equal Pay Act. All they did was change the amount of time you have to file, and that's it. And I know because I read it. And I believe that they give you unlimited time, which is absolutely unheard of and insane in legislative history, no one has statute of limitations of forever. You can murder someone and then 25 years later say, I murdered that guy, I did it, and I said I didn't, and I went to court and I got off, but I did it, and they can't put you in jail. You can do that. This is statute of limitations for murder. The Central Park jogger, after 10 years, said she lied. Those people were innocent that I put in jail. And she couldn't be put in jail because the 10 years statute of limitations had passed. So I believe that they made it eternal. Here's the problem. Companies only keep records for 3 years or 7 years at the most. Some companies keep it for 7 years, some keep it for 3. And the reason why is because of IRS regulations. Most companies historically do not keep a lifetime of records for all their employees. So if you have been employed at a company all your life and you say, well, when I was 18, I was discriminated against and now I'm 90 years old and I want to file a lawsuit, the company's going to say, well, guess what? We don't have those records. Guess what? Too bad. You lose. And she might not even have those records. She has unlimited time to file. It's not realistic to expect a company to keep records forever, although they're kind of moving towards that, and maybe they do now because of computerization and scanning documents and things like that, and archiving. So the government is BS. It's total BS. It's a scam. You're being lied to all the time about legislation. They're saying that they're doing things for you that's never going to happen. The homeless problem's never been fixed. All the people talking about it never been fixed. Smog in LA never been fixed. But it's pollution. Anybody that says pollution, smog in LA, I've been there, seen the smog. Trust me, stuff. It's real. That's the worst pollution in the United States is smog in LA. There's all sorts of problems that have happened. Maybe you can share some on your own, but the government is filled with propaganda and fake news, and they manipulate people to their benefit, not to yours.